Seattle and RSL played a thrilling game last night, but all anyone's talking about is a man named Ricardo Salazar. Next on The Daily. Hey everyone, welcome to The Daily. Greg Lalas and Simon Borg here again, 2 days in a row, Simon. Well, last night, of course, MLS action got back underway. Seattle and RSL playing up at CenturyLink, a 0-0 game. Pretty exciting, though. There were lots of good chances, but Simon, let's be honest here. After the game, all anyone was talking about was Ricardo Salazar, the referee, the red card in the first half. Even Sigi Schmid got into the criticism act here.
Oh, Sigi Schmid got into it early. Those halftime remarks were stunning to me, where he says, you know, we have a 12th man in our crowd. Salt Lake has a 12th man in the referee. I thought that was a little overboard. Look, I understand in the heat of the moment you get upset, but I got to believe that when Sigi Schmid goes back and looks at all the plays, he's going to maybe want to retract some of his criticism.
You think so?
I really do believe, because the Zach Scott, the 2 yellows, I think were warranted.
I'm not so sure about. Hang on. I'm not so sure about the first yellow card. I can understand it, perhaps. The second yellow card, yes, it's a hard tackle, and he basically has to give it, I think, in the end. The first yellow card, though, he kind of pulls him back a little bit. It's on the side. It's not as if Spindle is breaking in on goal to go to goal. He's breaking in to maybe hit a cross in.
But he's stopping an attacking sequence for Real Salt Lake. I think it was a yellow card, and in the moment, I didn't feel like it was an injustice done to Zach Scott. So I believe those were legitimate calls. Sigi Schmid wanted a handball called in the first half. Didn't think that was that's non-existent to me, because the defender's hands were at his side. Then he wanted a red card on Chris Schuler. Now, you could debate this, but the rules say it has to deny a clear goal-scoring opportunity. Right. I don't think that was one.
So you don't think Montero would have gotten past Schuler and gotten in for the breakaway?
Correct.
You don't. All right. Well, in that case, then yeah, it would not be a red card on Schuler.
Your thought on it?
I think that Montero actually beats him, but I don't think it's a clear goal-scoring opportunity either, because I think Schuler, number one, it's not as if he's all of a sudden a step or two behind. He's still side to side. He does get a foul in there, but it's definitely not a clear goal-scoring opportunity. However, I mean, Sigi Schmid's still angry about that one. He has to be happy about the goaltending, or the goalkeeping that he got from Michael Sperning, who was on fire on the night.
The game was actually a very good game. Even though it was 10 against 11 for most of it, I liked what Salt Lake did. And Casey Keller was right on the broadcast. There were moments where you wanted them to bring more numbers forward, but when Real Salt Lake did bring numbers forward, they combined really well. There were a couple of chances you wish they could have pulled the trigger on if you're a Real Salt Lake fan. And then Seattle was dangerous. Freddie Montero, all alone against the likes of Borchers and Olave, was still very effective, made those runs. They sent the long ball over. I thought Seattle had a very good game.
One of the best performances I think we've seen from Montero in a while, because he was alone up top up there. Well, it ended 0-0. No change in the standings in the Western Conference. Well, we just mentioned the standings in the Western Conference. Let's take a look now at the overall standings in both conferences, and we'll start in the East, where 4 teams are now vying for 3 available playoff spots. It's DC, New York, Houston, and Columbus. Now, there's a scenario this weekend, depending on results, that it could be decided, and we know the 3 teams in the playoffs.
I actually think, Greg, that scenario is very likely. I think we're going to see DC beat Columbus at home and lock up that playoff spot for them, and also really hurt Columbus's chances, because I think Houston at home against Philadelphia will win. And that would really put Columbus out of it. And everything would be decided at that point. And New York, win or lose, would be in at that point. So I think the East, there's a very good chance we could all be done.
Now, in the Western Conference, there are 2 teams left fighting for that 5th spot. There's still some jockeying for position in terms of where people will end up. But it's basically Vancouver and Dallas now looking for that 5th spot in the playoffs, that chance to get into the knockout round, if you will. Can Vancouver lock it up and get their first playoff berth ever?
I think they won't miss this opportunity, Greg. Portland haven't won a game on the road all year. Yeah, they won in Vancouver last year. That goal by Kenny Cooper, we remember that one. But I don't think this Portland team has what it takes to overcome a Vancouver team that right now is really driven. They know they just need a result here, and then Dallas is done and dusted. Dallas, they're chasing Vancouver. They'll know the result of that Vancouver-Portland game before they take the field against Seattle.
It's pretty disappointing from Dallas' standpoint, because they made this late surge, which was pretty fun to watch in particular. So I think they will be very disappointed. But make sure you watch all of the games this weekend to find out whether it's going to come down to this weekend or maybe this next weekend. stuff. And you can catch a lot of those games actually streaming live on MLS Live. There's a special going on right now. Go to live.mlssoccer.com, and the code word is bring it home. As in, if you get into the playoffs, you can eventually get that home game in the final. So the code is bring it home. Make sure you use that. $9.99 is the price for that. That's it for today. Later on, make sure you check out Extra Time Radio, the podcast on mlssoccer.com. We'll be discussing all of this stuff and more as well. We'll talk to you tomorrow.